Good day and welcome, America and beyond. I'm Tom Donahue for Tom Donahue Reports and The Briefing. So glad you can be with us. I'm going to pick up where I left off in the initial briefing about the presidential predictions back to Alan Lichtman and his 13 keys to the White House tracker. He's already predicted that Harris will win. I'm going to just very quickly go over these keys. There's some other things I want to get to in this briefing. And since 1984, up until the present day, he's been 100% accurate. He's called every election using his keys to the White House. There's 13 of them. These are indicators, and it's his formula. It's not I don't know if you want to call it subjective or objective, because he's basing it on data, basing it on science, but it's his own assessment tools. And so he says he's not here to debate anybody on any of these keys. It's just that this is what he uses, and then he makes his prediction. Some call him not only a political guru, but the Nostradamus of political elections. And he is a college professor, and he's a researcher, and he's a scholar. So, I don't know if he tilts left or right. American University is not considered a liberal university. Okay, so Alan Lichtman's 13 keys to the White House. Number 1 is party mandate. Number 2, contest. 3, incumbency. 4, third party. 5, short-term economy. 6, long-term economy. 7, policy change. 8, social unrest. 9, scandal. 10, foreign military failure. 11, foreign military success. 12, incumbent charisma. 13, challenger charisma. So I don't know what to say about that, but he actually predicted, Biden the winner in the last election. No, it wasn't stolen, even though there were irregularities and the goalposts were extended, and there were some problems, surprisingly and sadly. But that's the nation we live in. Okay, I just wanted to share that with you. Also, there's multiple articles up at TalkStream Live. You can just look up him. You can look up 13 keys to the White House, and you can do your own study, your own research. I've made my pick, not pick based on favor, based on just assessing the political dynamics. Because I voted for Trump twice, not voting for him again. I would have voted for DeSantis. I wish the baton had been passed. It was not, and it's unfortunate. And the king and the kingmaker, Trump, forcibly pushed everybody out. Didn't allow for really free and fair contest. And he used the MAGA sledgehammer and the bully pulpit, and was able to discard of his adversaries, political adversaries, intra-party. I know there was a palace coup. I know Pelosi was involved, and Schumer, and we know Harris, and various others. But the establishment, not just the left-wing establishment, but the New World Order establishment, and the trial balloon took place, with the first very early on debate between Trump and Biden. Absolutely, hands down, Trump obliterated him, annihilated Biden. And with that, it proved, that everything that most people on the conservative side were saying about the acuity, the mental acumen, the cognition deficient, mentally challenged, dementia, Alzheimer's patient in the White House, the debilitated President Biden. And that's the first time I actually said president, but because I don't really refer to him, because I don't really respect him, and so I usually just call him Biden. But he did win the election, and I've done enough analysis on that, and people are entitled to believe what they want. I would just encourage them to do the research rather than accepting the MAGA gospel. And speaking of that, the Trump Bible, like, really? And it's made in China? Not so good. Okay, not so fast. Am I going to have a Trump MAGA Bible? So I'm looking at this election, and all these worries about, okay, so there was a replacement, big deal. Well, we should have, on the right, they should have replaced Trump, okay? We don't need two old codgers. We don't need someone that believes he's entitled didn't debate any of his adversaries, the challengers. Trump was, it's really odd. In one sense, he was running as though he felt like he was entitled and he was the incumbent. On the other, he's acting like he's still an outsider. Harris is doing the same, the chameleon, political chameleon, an opportunist, where she's acting as though we're not going to go back. Well, wait a minute. If you're going back, you're going back to Biden, okay? And you were part of the Biden team, okay? And so-called border czar. So being VP, you're actually the incumbent, and there is a record that you're connected and associated with. But if they're making it look like Trump's the incumbent, but it's working. Most people are buying it, especially those that are interested in her product, okay? Now, Trump, his whole message essentially is just securing the MAGA base, peeling off some black and Latinos that are, dissatisfied with the migrant invasion. So who is the real incumbent? Is it Harris? Is it Trump? There's a lot of confusion. The messaging is getting through from the Harris camp that she's kind of the new kid on the block. Although, she was partners with Biden, and she has to be held in account for the Biden record, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. But for some reason, the way they've couched this and the way it's been posited or presented, you would think, if you're really not that well politically educated, that she is actually the change agent. She's actually the fresh face. She's actually the new kid on the block. And Trump is the incumbent. And we're not going to go back. But it's your administration that's the most recent. And Trump acts as though he is the incumbent in many ways. And then there are times where he'll act like he's the change agent and that, he's going to challenge the system. But they're both actually part of the system. Trump did commandeer and overtake and remake the Republican Party, and it's the MAGA party now. And the old guard is still trying to fight back, and the old guard is actually in private praying and hoping that Trump loses so they can get back to business as usual. It's a flawed party because you can't have devout followers of an immoral and corrupt human being, okay? And so incredibly flawed. But we should never follow any man or woman. And on the left, people thought Obama was the next coming and that he could walk on water and that there was such adulation for him. So really, both Obama and Trump are very similar in the sense that they have this messianic following. And so they do have this kind of power that they're able to somehow almost mesmerize their followers. And I don't hear people talk about that in terms of it's just the MAGA followers, but there was the Obama followers. And Obama is now infusing this enthusiasm, although it came late, for Harris. And when you've got the Beyonce effect, and you have Bruce Springsteen, and you have the Swifties, it's making it look exciting and dynamic, and there's this vitality and energy. And so really when you start looking at the way she is presenting this campaign, where she's not attacking MAGA per se, attacking Trump, where Hillary attacked Trump and the MAGA followers. Remember the Deplorables? So she's very smart and crafty and cunning. And also she's got a younger look, and she's, Trump won't say it, but she's an attractive woman, so she's telegenic. Yes, she is plagued with word salads, but hey, she mopped the floor with him in the debate. It's just, that's undeniable. And I do believe Trump should have accepted the Fox offer to debate and be able to try to rebound from that. But Trump said he won, seconds after that. And he said and he quoted 3 or 4 fake, non-existent polls that said he won. He didn't win. And there was no poll that would even be in the realm of sensibility that would say that Trump defeated Harris in that debate. And also, if you just look at, it's like dark MAGA versus like this celebration and this energy and excitement. And that, so she's coming off as though she's not an incumbent, and that she is actually this new a change agent when really she is the incumbent, and that she is wedded at the hip with Biden, but she's been able to successfully, for the most part, make it look as though she's just a brand new candidate. And there is no baggage, and there is no, and Trump is acting, and the way it's being at least positioned, you would think that Trump is like, he's looking more like the Washington Insider, the current guard, and more the established candidate, where he's been out of office 4 years. I mean, he kind of had like a shadow candidacy or presidency, but nevertheless, Harris really was the co-president. Nobody really wants to hold her in account. I mean, except for, some of the Trump ads that do talk about, the border czar and, some other things. And if I were Trump, I would just, you've got to start talking in a more optimistic tone. You've got to get away from the grievances, the name calling, the insults. In this final stretch, it's got to be more about positivity and, what you're going to be able to do for the country. Don't worry so much about Harris, the person. It's Harris, the policy, and what her, what her record is. Bottom line, to wrap this up, I'm not voting for either of them. I'm voting my conscience. I'm not throwing away my vote because my conscience will be my guide, and I will feel quite empowered as well as relieved that I wasn't coerced from MAGA and I wasn't coerced from the Dems to make a decision that would conflict with my conscience. But that's your decision, and I'll continue with these briefs to try to inform and enlighten. Only sway you based on the information. Not that, I want you to follow who I am and that I know better. I'm just sharing what I know, what I sense, what I feel, what I believe to be, and that's all I can do. I just want to be respectful and responsible. Till we meet again, Tom Donahue. Tom Donahue Reports, The Briefing. Have a great day.